Welcome back to another episode of Heavy Wireless, part of the Packet Pushers Podcast Network. And today's episode, we're talking about WLPC in Phoenix 2024. And what did we think was best? And my guest today is Ferney Munoz. Ferney, how are you?
I'm doing great, Mr. Parsons. How are you doing?
Have you recovered from the conference?
I guess I'm still unpacking stuff. Got so much swag and labs to work on and homework, basically, because everything you learn there, you kind of come back and you're trying to redo it or go back. And yeah, it just keeps going.
I too have a stack of lab experiments that I want to try. In fact, today I'm here with Ferney in his man cave, where he teaches ECSE courses, CWNA courses. It's
Tesos.
Yeah. What is Tesos?
Tesos is a group we created during COVID. It's a group of guys that just gather every weekend to hang out and talk about, the week in general, good things, bad things, problems they had with technology, and get help. And just kind of like the meetings you do after work on Friday with friends, and you go to the pub or just hang around and talk about what's going on. And that's what we do every week. And
how many episodes are you up to now?
Today, actually, this morning I did. It's a Monday, I know, but we do it in special occasions. 188 so far.
That's a lot of episodes you have. So Congratulations on building that community. Again, Tesos, though, is in Spanish?
In Espanol, but every once in a while we have them in English. We had one with the guys from YBot. We had sometimes, like today, for instance, was with Ubiquity Networks. So I had Craig, and it was in English. So every once in a while, but 98% of them are in Spanish and Espanol.
Well, when we get to the end of this session, we'll be talking about WLPC, the Wireless LAN Professionals Conference, and I'll turn it back to you to talk about some Spanish ones we have coming up.
Yeah.
So WLPC Phoenix happened in February. It was the largest one we've ever had. We had about 375 people there, about 10% larger than any of the ones we had before. And one of the things about WLPC as a conference, it's a little unique. The history, I started it like 10 years ago as a conference I wanted to attend myself. And I was really tired of having people treat me as the product. I mean, you go to a conference and you want to talk to someone and they don't look at your eyes. They look at your chest to see your badge and try to evaluate, should I be talking to this? Does this person deserve my attention? Or if they're like a booth babe, even if they're a male booth babe, all they want to do is scan your badge. And I was a little tired of that. So I wanted a conference where you could just come together and hang out and talk about Wi-Fi. And we've now had 10 years of it. It was fantastic. So this year we had lots and lots of sessions. Every year we try to get more and more sessions in. One of the neat features is the number of people who present. This year is about 1/4 of the people who attended presented in some form or another. That's a pretty big number.
It is.
It's a little rare to have that many people, the attendees, present, but they're the ones that have all the information.
Absolutely. And I think I still remember the very first conference that we attended, and definitely evolved in a way that it just wants you to go again and again and again.
Well, it kind of started, I didn't know it was going to turn out this way, but the first one we did in Austin was, we only had about 80 people. And at night, everyone just hung out in the bar and talked for hours and realized it wasn't just the conference, it's the after hours stuff as well. And so we've tried to encourage that. And every week we try to make it a little better and answer those kind of things. What was one of your best memories from Phoenix this year?
Oh, I think without a doubt was just looking back at what you've built, because, sometimes we don't realize the impact that we're making on people's lives. We just think, as a conference, we come talk Wi-Fi and hang out, but the impact is huge. We just don't realize that. And I think that looking at all the testimonies and people kind of reflecting back on what the conference has done for them, you're just speechless because, from my point of view, it's just we do things and we have fun, but we never realize how many lives we're touching. And that is a fantastic benefit. It was really good to look back over the last 10 years. But what was your best
session that you watched? One of the presentations?
There were so many that were really good. I think Jennifer Minela's presentation was really good. I think it also helps her presentation style. She's just so natural on stage that.
Well, last year her slides didn't work, and she gave her whole presentation without a single slide.
I remember that. So yeah, she's just pleasant to watch present. Wes Purvis always has really good content to present.
I liked his title this year, Wi-Fi 6E, the third year.
Year 3 or third year, yeah. That was really good. I think another one that I remember was Ventive.
Dennis.
Dennis Burrell. I think that was hilarious.
Dennis comes out dressed with, well, I mean, he was dressed obviously, but he had on a cat in the hat. And he kind of made his whole presentation very Seussical.
Yeah.
If you like Cat in the Hat, you would have liked his presentation. And it was full of good information as well. It was just a fun way to go out and do that. I thought Tom Carpenter has been teaching and been part of the CVMP for a long time. But he gave I think his title was The Nitty Gritty of OFDM.
Of DMA.
Well, OFDM first. And then he added the A as well. But he spoke OFDM, like just the words, like it's the terms. He just talked normal.
No effort.
No effort at all. It wasn't like he stopped to try to explain what some of the acronyms were, or, what different parts were. He just talked and said, this is how it works, and talked straight through.
I've listened to his, classes and videos from CWMP and stuff, and he's just so good at presenting.
Oh, he rocked that. Now, if you want to know about OFDM and the nitty gritty, you can go and watch that one. It's great. The other one I liked a lot was Francois. Francois gave one that was, the title seemed really simple. It was just the math behind the phi layer. And we use MCS tables all the time. I love MCS table, but he went into the math behind it. And I think what I liked best was his slides were very patient and full of the math. But he didn't just drop this big, huge formula on you. He built it. It had this part, and let's look at the details of that part, and then this part, and we added it. And in the end, you had this big monster formula, but you felt like you understood how it was designed. And then, of course, it leads up to this massive MCS chart that can't even fit on the screen.
And he also presented it in a way that he was just like, oh, but it's just a formula. You look at this. It's just, spatial streams here. And then all this suddenly, he also threw that tool that brings up like, oh, you have this client device, and it will just show you the possible data rates you can get without, getting confused with the massive table.
And it's nice to know how the table is made, but you really don't. You just need to use it. And so MCS table is very helpful there. The other one I liked, and you might comment on this, I liked Bob Friday's presentation on Zoom, but it really wasn't about Zoom. It was about how they, as Juniper Mist, used their data collection and their AI and all the machine learning bits, but how they figured out how to better their network to work with Zoom. And the answer wasn't, well, come to Mist and use our network. The answer was, here are some concrete steps you can take in any network that will make Zoom better. So I just love when there's a session where someone has a problem. They figure out, let's make an experiment to figure out how to solve the problem. They collect the data, and then they present the data. And so we don't have to go through all of that work ourselves. We can just grab onto the nuggets of truth that came out of that one. So I like that one a lot. Any of the other ones you especially remember?
Well, not because it was mine, but not because my presentation was really good. I think I went over my time, like way past my time.
Nearly twice as much.
Yeah. And you know what? It's impressive. Presenting is so hard for me. I mean, I can teach a class and I talk for 4 days and it's really easy, but speaking for 10 minutes there, it's so difficult. I still, get up there, and even though I know the community and I know the process and we present like every year, my voice still cracks up. I forget what I had to say, and I go over my time like every time. So I have to improve that one. But then it was the moment when Steve Cooper presented this video, and I shared a video that Raymond shared with me, and I just shared it to the community just because he was thanking everybody for what the community did for him. And then, just got surprised with you have to watch the video. And I look back at it, and yeah, that's the human side of the conference, which I think that also kind of, I don't know, it's not like we plan for being there and talk about this thing, but that's part of it. It's not just talking about Wi-Fi. Is over there, I see that we are not experts at anything. We're not Wi-Fi people, just a whole bunch of babies that grew up. Well, that sounded really bad. They're a whole bunch of babies. No, we're like, babies that grew up, went to school and got in technology somehow. And basically, we're just a whole bunch of humans that happen to be doing Wi-Fi and doing this technology.
And we like hanging out together.
Yes.
And you touched people's lives. So that worked out really well.
Yeah, so that worked out really good. And that was one of those memorable moments that kind of like touch you inside and just bring you down to a human level that we really are.
I don't think we never tried to make that part of the conference. It just happens every now and then. Well, one of the things I wanted to talk about was some of the evening events. And in one of them, NetAlly brought in Mike Panaki, and Mike Panaki was teaching a deep dive course on NetAlly's AirCheck G3, which was great. But in the evening event, you walk in and they wanted to record it. And so if you wanted to, you can go see it. It's also on YouTube. They wanted to record it. So we held it on the main stage, but at night. And we walked in and there's 4 bananas up on stage. And into the bananas, they've plugged in some stripped Cat5 cable. And you're just looking at like, what are they going to do with this? And then they went on to prove they could transmit 2.5 gig data
5 gig and PoE
through a banana. And then they also just tested PoE as well. It was a fun event, and it was titled something like "You Can't Do Wireless Without Wires." And so it was targeted on how do we test our wires before we go on. But it was just really fun to see.
But it was so amazing. It was an eye opener to see that, hey, if I can get an IP address and I can push PoE, and 4 of the wires are cut, like physically separated, and they're plugged into a banana and it still works. That's like, wow.
Well, and afterwards, Herr Nielsen ate the banana.
Yeah.
And he said it still tasted good. So it had a little burn spots, though.
Yeah.
I think from pushing the PoE.
Voltage.
That was a fun one. Another fun one was Juniper Mist. They had one of those Oprah moments. Were you up there when they announced it?
Yeah.
Like everyone here, everyone who wants to can get a free 6 gigahertz Mist AP. So that was kind of shocking. We didn't know that was coming, but until the last moment. But it's not a bad thing. Not saying that if you come to WC, you're going to get a free AP.
Yeah.
That happens sometimes, but that's not a guarantee. One of the people asked me, "How do you get involved?" So you have been at nearly all the WPCs. How did you get involved in the first one?
I think I've been to more WLPCs than you have.
Oh, I think you have, yes.
Because I've done a couple in Spanish by myself. I mean, you couldn't come because you had other commitments, and it was in Espanol, so you...
Yeah, I'm not very good at that.
I speak the language. But at the time, you were working in teaching us and helping us with the Wi-Fi at the school district. And you say, hey, I'm doing this gathering, and you invited me, and I took the initiative to come because I didn't get sponsored by my employer at the time. And I realized that many people go through the same thing. They always, get obstacles to go. And I ended up pushing through and ended up going the first time and just got involved in helping you. And now we evolve into bringing it to so many places now.
Do you remember what your first presentation was?
Oh, absolutely. That was about cabling too.
And you were a little nervous because, this is a Wi-Fi thing, but what am I talking about cabling? But everyone loved it because you showed how it matters.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, that's always trying to find a presentation, something that is relevant. And maybe we're not good at everything, but there's something that, we're good at. And at the time, I was really good at cabling because I had to deal with it everywhere. And I got people ask me, oh, you're the Wi-Fi. Oh, wait, you're not the Wi-Fi guy. Like, yeah, I am. How can I help you? Like, why are you running wires? And they're like, well, because we need wires. And yeah, that's my first presentation. Yes. Cabling.
Yeah. And you did another one on survey trays.
Absolutely. Oh, that was a disaster. I remember I was like showing how wearing the survey tray, you would not drop your computer. And what do I do in stage in front of hundreds of professionals? Drop my computer. That was not part of the presentation.
Oh,
it was an accident.
It looked like it was supposed to be there. It was a Windows machine though, so it's okay.
Yeah, it was a Windows machine.
You can drop those.
Just a brief pause to ask, did you know Packet Pushers has a job board? Whether you're looking to find or fill your next great IT infrastructure role, the Packet Pushers job board is the place to go. It's easy to post, easy to browse, and easy to apply. So whether you've got IT talent or you're looking for IT talent, visit jobs.packetpushers.net and get to work. That's jobs.packetpushers.net.
Well, if anyone is listening, all of the WLPC presentations, not only from this last conference in February in Phoenix, but all previous ones for the last 10 years, both those in English and in Spanish, are available for free for download. They're on YouTube. If you go to YouTube, just search for @Wireless LAN Professionals, or you could just look for pound WLPC. Either way, you should get to them. There's over 1,000 videos that are there that you can watch. The idea is, and I state this about every time I'm in front of the conference, the knowledge is like manure. If you spread it around, it helps things to grow. If you hang on to it, you just stink. So we like to not stink. So we want to share that knowledge as much as possible. Any other memories of WLPC, this last one in Phoenix?
I was impressed by the amount of newcomers, people that had never been to a conference. And, we think this is such a small community. We know everybody, but there are so many people that don't know about us. And many were just asking, like, what do we do next? And, what do you mean? Like, there are no booths. Where are the booths? I had a couple people
booths,
ask
yeah.
me, like, where's the booth area? Like, there are no booths in here. So I think that was one of the things. And I think, yes, just coming back to the 10-year celebration and the impact that you have done in the community, because, yes, we talk about how you help us and in many ways and bringing us together. But I think one of the big impacts that I've seen in my life personally is financially, because once you learn more and you get to hang out with all the people that make things happen, you get more exposure and get education, because that's one of the huge components of our conference, is that we have boot camps, classes, that 4-day classes compressed in 3 days, from Cisco to a CWMP program, through like Spec and any type of certifications out there we're trying to bring, so you can get the classes, you can get training, you can get exposure, you can get to hang out with other people. And at one of the other events, the guys were like, well, why don't you do Zoom? Why don't you stream the conference? Like, for what? For the presentations? They are going to be recorded anyway. The value of coming is all these extra activities that don't get recorded. All the activities that guys do in the morning, go mountain biking, go hiking, go running, praying, all kind of stuff. Yoga, yeah. And it's like that contact that you get to do things with your friends that you just maybe email and Zoom all the time, but never get to hang out with, at that level. So it just keeps, it surprises me that so many people don't know about WLPC. We just think that, yeah, everybody knows about it, but it's just a unique experience that for all of those listening that have never been to WLPC, just look up, watch some of the videos, and come and join us, because it's just difficult to explain the experience. You just have to be there to enjoy.
Well, and if anyone listening wants to know how to get involved, if you'd like to speak, we have a kind of a unique way of getting new talent, new people want to present. So about 5-6 months out, we do a call for presentations, very normal thing. People send in, this is the idea that I want to present on. And then we turn around and turn that into a survey and send it to all our past attendees from any of the last 10 years. They all get a chance to vote. And then the presentations that get the highest votes get the most amount of time. The problem we found is we have to turn away 60, 70% of the presentations. So we wanted to find, because we just don't have enough time. So we wanted to find a new way to share more. So this year we had something we called spotlight sessions, where in the evening we had a professional video recording studio set up with a live audience, and people who maybe didn't get enough votes because no one knew who they were, so they didn't get on the main stage. We had another stage in the evening that they could go present at. All of those same sessions are recorded and put out on the same YouTube channel. And you can't even, we don't even mark them as being any different. There's some great ones. Did you see any good spotlight sessions that were highlighted this year for you?
Oh, yeah, there were a few, but I think one of the ones that I enjoyed was Charles Clare from Australia. He was just showing all the testing that they had to do on Wi-Fi and laptops in BYOD, and he explains, all the challenges they had and all the things they had to do to get thousands of devices, ready for testing. So that was a good spotlight session. I wish he had the chance to do it on the main stage.
Well, hopefully people will see it and give upvotes for next time around.
Yeah.
So if you want to get involved, the community really does need your knowledge and experience. So this is how, when people ask me this is a recommendation I give to everyone. Find a problem in your life, in your career. That doesn't necessarily, it could be cabling, like Ferney's first one. And then figure out a way to solve that problem. It might be you have to do experiments. You might get some bananas and hook them up to your cables, but find a project or an experiment to go through and test, document that test, and then be able to have your presentation come and say, here was my problem, here was my solution, and here's the results. The results don't even have to be positive. Your experience that you went through learning is good for others as well. And that's really what we're looking for in content, is someone who had an issue and solved it and shared it with the rest of the community. So if you want to get involved, we would love to have you on board. It doesn't really matter if you work for a vendor. If you don't work for a vendor, we don't really care. It's all about you. So if you want to get involved, you can look in the show notes, and we'll have links to the YouTube videos. We'll have links to a newsletter that you can follow so you know when the call for presentations is coming out. Ferney, do we have any more WLPCs coming up this year?
Oh, yes, sir, we do. We just did one of 4 that we're going to be doing. The next one's going to be in Valencia. Well, Valencia, if you want to pronounce it correctly.
Well, you can pronounce it that way.
Valencia, in España. That's going to be in Spanish, and it's the same format. It's just that we created these ones for the Spanish-speaking community in Latin America and Spain. This is the first one's going to be in Europe. The other ones have been in Colombia and in Mexico. This one's going to be in June from 1 to the 3rd. They're going to be boot camps. We're going to have the Hamina certification. We're going to have CWNA, CWAP, and perhaps an IoT one. And then the conference is going to be the 4th and the 5th of June. Again, this is going to be in Spanish, but we've had English presenters before. It's just that if you want to come to Valencia, it's a good time of the year. And it's going to be targeting this Spanish speaker audience. The next one is going to be in Prague, the end of the year, also in October.
Just a warning, this is our last Prague. Next year 2025, we'll be looking for a new location to hold them in.
Yeah.
We've been in Prague, love Prague, but it's maybe time to move on.
Yeah. Or, trying to explore new places and bigger areas, because we outgrew that place as well, sadly enough. And then that's going to be from October 20th to the 25th. That's a longer one, 3 days of boot camps, 3 days of conference. And then the last one for this year is going to be in Mexico City in November 9 to the 13th. So 9, 10, and 11 is going to be boot camps. And then the 12 and the 13 is a 2-day only, packed with presentations and deep dives. And that's going to be in Espanol as well.
And don't you even have a higher presentation of presenters to audience?
Yeah, actually, because that's a smaller one, and basically everybody who goes presents. So that's an interesting one. And yes, it's a smaller group. We pretty much can go to dinner together, and we don't have to split in groups or anything. So it's a pretty cozy. I think you went to the one in Medellin and Mexico.
And Bogota.
in Bogota. Oh yeah, that was the first one we did in Latin America in 2017. So, and then I'll let you the one for next year.
Then we already have the dates if you want to put it in your calendar. Phoenix for 2025. The boot camps are 15 to 17 February, and the conference is the 18th to 20th. We usually try to target this over the weekend of President's Day holiday, so people don't have to take as many days off. Well, Ferney, thank you for joining me today on this podcast about WLPC. If anyone's interested, you can see the information in the show notes. And if not, we'll look forward to talking to you on a future Heavy Wireless podcast. This is part of the Packet Pushers Podcast Network. My name is Keith Parsons, and we'll see you next time.